Good to see you, man. It's been a while since we talked.
I know. Good to
Um,
see you. You coming to Fort Worth, yeah? So see you
I
soon.
am. Yeah, I'll be
Okay.
with the Be Friendly team. So yeah, I'll stay at the Airbnb with Brian and everyone and Chad.
The friends.
Where you're staying at?
I don't know off the top of my head. CrossFit has put us somewhere, so I'm not sure.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm just gonna do a little intro and then we can
Sure.
start. Sounds
Sure.
good?
Do what you gotta do. Yep.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hard Drive Studios, a show where we highlight creators and a wide range of media people from CrossFit and the sports industry. Today I'm joined by Bella Martin, aka Miss Bella Martin on Instagram. She's the rising voice of CrossFit on and off the floor. If you've been to any of the biggest CrossFit competitions in the world and you don't know who she is, you've been living under a rock. She's one of the biggest masters of ceremony in our space right now. I'm so happy to have her on the show to get to know her a bit more today. So, Bella, thank you so much for coming on and welcome to Hard Drive Studios.
Oh my goodness, that was so good. You make me sound awesome.
I'm trying to.
That's so
Good
good.
to see you.
You
Just so to put it super simple, like the way I like to start things is very easy, very simple. Just for the people that don't know you, I just want to know a little bit like where you come from, like how you entered the CrossFit space and the emceeing, etc. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, of course. I think my story is always really funny because I grew up, actually, my parents, mostly my mom, were, big CrossFit naysayers. And they said,
Okay.
that's not for you. People who do that get really jacked and they have these big muscles, and that's just not what we're going to do. You're going to get hurt, all these things. So I never did it, never, listened to them as a good kid. And then in at some point when I was in grad school, someone said, "Hey, I think you should do this," kind of essentially bullied me into it. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna love it." And I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm not gonna love it. My parents said I'm not gonna like it." And then I ended up loving it. And then about a year and a half later, I became a coach because I enjoyed it so much. And I was like, "Oh, I really enjoy coaching." I coached swimming for a long time, so I already have that kind of desire to help people improve. And then from there, someone said, "Hey, have you ever considered being an MC?" And I think it's really funny, the limiting beliefs that we have about ourselves, because I thought that I hated speaking in front of people. And I thought
Oh,
that
interesting.
I thought I absolutely hated anything of that sort. And I just don't really know. They encouraged me to do it. They said, "You're going to like it, try it." And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, someone said I was like CrossFit, and I ended up really enjoying it. It became one of the best parts about my life. So I might as well give it a try. And then here we are getting to do what we do. Now I can say, because it's, less than 20 days away, I get to work the
Yeah.
games this year. And it's
Congrats.
been, yeah, thank you. It's been the craziest kind of journey of what the heck am I doing? Who's gone before me that I can kind of mold my path after, but then make it my own. So if you don't
Yeah.
know what you want to do, that's okay. Listen to someone who has your best interest in mind when they say, "Hey, you might like this," because you just
Yeah.
might, and it might become your entire life.
Yeah, for sure. I want to talk more about what you'll do at the games after, but just
Yeah.
I want to know like when you first stepped on the floor and someone like landed you like gave you a mic, like
Mhm.
how did you feel? Were you scared? Like what was that experience?
I don't think I was really scared. My first major event, so first thing I did was a major high rocks event. Thought it was really fun, TFX, and then my first, I would say like in CrossFit, my first actual major CrossFit event was Wadapalooza, which is
Yeah.
insane to say. Like that's kind of my coming out of sorts. And
Crazy.
I remember I wasn't nervous, but I was surrounded by people that were so much further along in their careers than I was.
Yeah.
And so, Rookie and Joe, and Greg, they've been doing this for so much longer than I have. And
Hmm.
so just wanting to listen to them, I was on the floor with them for the most part. I was like, okay, I
Yeah.
just want to, do justice to you as a teammate, do justice to the athletes, have some fun while doing it.
Yeah.
If you ever ask me what I say on the floor, I don't know. I kind of black out, turn on my
Yeah.
other personality, my little alter ego. She comes out, and I don't think I was ever really nervous. I think once the weekend was over and we're all reflecting on it, and I'm thinking, wow, that came and went really quickly. That
Yeah.
was not what I expected. It was so much fun. And then, listening to the feedback from other people that I was bringing something, I guess, different to the table. I don't
Yeah.
know what that means. And to this day, I still don't understand what it means when people are like, oh, we like what you do and why. I'm like, I think I'm just doing the same as everybody else. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was really fun. And I think getting to do something now that is for work that I enjoy so much is really special and unique. And I mean,
Yeah.
heck, I can't imagine doing anything else.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how is it entering, like what are, like how do you get access to those competitions? Because like, okay, I
Yeah.
know how I did, for example, as a video maker, you know, you got to start doing some free stuff, like going here and there, showing your face, etc. and everything. But how's like entering the space for an MC?
I would say it's very challenging when you're on the outside. And I think something that someone said to me recently when I told them, when I shared with them that I was working the games this year, they said there was a really big door in front of you with a lot of
Mhm.
people holding it up and you
Yeah,
knocked it down and you should be really proud of that. And
for
I think
sure.
like that even like kind of makes me a little bit emotional thinking about what I've had to do, had to give up to get to where I am.
Yeah,
But typically I would say it kind of goes, you have these events, local events, anything
yeah,
at your own affiliate, anything that's around, and you can just offer your time. And that's
yeah,
typically what I tell people if they say they want to do what I do. I'm like, okay, cool. That's awesome. Go volunteer your time. Go
yeah.
do every possible event you can. Learn the craft, learn how you want to make it different. You
Mhm.
can get inspired from people, but then try to make it your own voice. And I think that's
Yeah,
also very challenging to do is actually finding your voice.
yeah,
But then from there, like the major events, most of them have a team that they've been working with for a while. And so
yeah,
making
exactly.
friends with people, yeah. And so making friends with people that are on the teams, like very, I would say very organic friendships, nothing that you're ever actually asking for. I think that's
Yeah.
something that I really try to kind of be mindful of because if I'm not wanted at an event, I don't want to be there, if that makes sense. I
Mhm.
want the
Yeah,
events to
for
want me to
sure.
be there. So I will wait for an event to reach out. If it's on like a bucket list, then yes, go reach out. Please tell them how much their event, means to you because they want to hear that. Then they want people there that are passionate about the events. But for the most part, I think being able to receive information from events and like, hey, we like you, we like the way
Yeah.
that you do things, and we want you specifically there. That's what I do now is these events reach out to me, and if I have the availability, then I'll come out there and it'll be awesome. And
Yeah.
if I don't, at this point, I have kind of a roster of sorts of people that I've listened to throughout the years. And I'm like, I respect this person as an individual. I respect this person as a professional. And I think they would do your event justice because every event has a different feel, has a different vibe, as
For
do,
sure.
MCs and voices. So I think knowing, oh, this person would fit in there is also kind of a fun, little thing that we get to pick up. It's you also can
Yeah.
work with your friends too. You can always say, "Oh, I want this person to come with me," and then you end up getting to travel around the world with your friends, and that's
Yeah.
pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, awesome. I don't know how's like the mood, like how's the space like in terms of like gender equality. Like, have you
Yeah.
felt or been treated differently in your profession as a woman, or do you feel the treatment has been quite equal and similar to men?
So I love that question because I think there's a couple different ways to answer it. And so I have a couple things that I can share. So when I was in grad school, a lot of the research that I did, just because it was really timely, was on gender equity. So it's something that
Yeah.
I've always been very mindful of professionally and just understanding, okay, here are some situations that you might encounter. Here's how you can navigate through them. So I'm very much aware of what happens, especially in professional sport. I think
Mhm.
when I started, people were really stoked to have a female voice because
Yeah.
there were a lot of men, and there still are, just because that's the reality of our sport, a lot of men that have been able to do the job. And so
Yeah.
they were like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. You're a girl. You're not really annoying when you're on the floor. So let's bring you out there. And so, in a way, I was getting work because I'm a girl. And thinking about that, it kind of makes you feel away. You're like, oh, well, dang, am I getting the work because I'm good at what I do? Or is it
Yeah.
because I'm a girl? But if my gender is what opens a door for me, what will allow me to walk through the door time after time is my talent and what I do.
For
So,
sure.
okay, cool. You need a female MC. That's okay with me. I will come to your event. I
Yeah.
think it really balances out the floor and the entire event if you have guys and girls together. So
Yeah.
cool, that's fine. It doesn't bother me. I've
Yeah.
been to events where I was treated very, I don't know, I would say I was disrespected at a
Hmm.
specific event because of being a woman.
Okay.
And it was one of those events I don't think I'll ever go back. I don't want to say never,
Of
but
course.
unless something really changed, I don't think I could
Yeah.
allow myself to go back into that situation just because I
Yeah.
don't think women deserve that,
For
especially
sure.
when you demand respect and you're like, I am good at what I do. I'm going to show up. I'm going to make the show as best as possibly can. And if you're going to disrespect me because I'm a woman and you're going to talk down to me and things like that, and think that I'm lesser because I'm a woman,
Yeah.
that's just not something I'll stand for. But I think as a whole, CrossFit and as a sport, they've been, I mean, amazing. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of it's interesting because I think people are very quick to judge. And so I think people are like, oh, well, CrossFit, bunch of dudes and a bunch of guys, it's a guys' party, this and this, but they've been nothing but accepting of me.
Oh,
So
that's
I love
awesome.
that. Yeah.
First of all, I'm sorry you had to go through that with that competition. No one should go
It's
through that.
okay. We
So
learned through
yeah.
it. We
Yeah,
learned
for
a
sure.
lot, and I learned how to like vocalize things. So that's
Yeah.
good.
But I wanted to say, I can do the metaphor with like how good of a camera you have and the video maker. Like, you can look very good as a man or a woman and like have all the appearances and like look the role or whatever. But if you don't know how to run play by play, if you don't know how like the athletes, like all the informations, I know a lot about this because my stepfather was a football commentator for
Oh,
20
cool.
years. And so I would see him study before the games, like every athlete. So he'd have like his big notebook and he'd have like stuff on the computer and he'd write, okay, this athlete had this injury earlier in the year. And like, okay, that's this, and he's doing this. So that's why he's getting better at this part of the game or whatever. And even though I was never into football, when I would listen to him live on TV, I'd be like, holy shit, like he really knows what he knows his shit. And so I think no
Yeah.
matter how good you look or if you're not good, then you're not going to be hired again. So it's a
No.
mix.
You'll
Yeah,
get
for sure.
phased out. And I think that's one of those things. I think a lot of people see what we do and they're, kind of enamored by it. And like, that looks so cool. They look so
Yeah,
cool when they're out there. They see our social media and like, oh, I want that. And they don't realize for most of us how much work we actually put into
yeah,
making it a good show and trying to give the athletes the respect that they deserve as professionals. So I
yeah,
think a lot of times, I mean, yeah, people just don't really understand and don't know what they don't know.
yeah, for sure. So I'm curious about something, and it's about
Mhm.
money and like how you get paid and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's not about like giving numbers or anything, but every creators they don't like this question because it's always hard, right? Because everybody has different rates, all that stuff. But my question is not that deep. It's more like, as CrossFit is a new sport and
Mhm.
emceeing these events is quite like a new profession, right? In the grand scheme of things, is it hard to find prices and to charge clients in CrossFit, especially when you start? Like, how do you work around that?
Not really. I think the best way to answer this would be you kind of establish and decide what you think that you're worth.
Yeah,
And you've got to hold on to that because a lot of events will say, oh, we don't have the budget for that. And that's okay. And
yeah,
if they don't have the budget for that, if it's an event that you really want to do, you'll make the sacrifice.
yeah,
But if it's an event that can't afford what you're going to provide for them,
hmm,
then it would almost do them a disservice for you to be there to like for free.
yeah,
After you get to a certain point, I think, yes, absolutely volunteer
for
and do it
sure.
for free as you're getting your reps in.
Yeah,
For most of us in kind of our very tight knit little MC sphere, we're close because there's only so many of us. And so we've kind of been transparent with each other on, hey, this is what I'm charging for this kind of event and this, because it's a respect thing. You never want to price yourself out from the rest of the group and be like, I'm worth more than you guys because I mean, that's not fair.
yeah,
We're all doing the same thing. We're all doing the same thing. And then you don't want to also be the person that's undercutting people. And I think I see
yeah,
that more often than anything is people will say, they'll know what everybody else is kind of, hey, we've had a conversation with the event. This is what I've pitched myself because this is what is my standard.
Mhm.
And people will know that and they will come in and they'll say, "Oh, I'll do it for like 50% of
Yeah.
what they're saying, or I'll do it for free." And
Yeah.
I think once you get to a point in your career, that's so disrespectful to the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And I would rather, go to fewer events and, I mean, I guess have a little bit more time at home, but I'd rather do fewer events knowing that I'm respected for what I do. The events are
Mhm.
willing to, put me out there than to be
Yeah.
at every single event and know that, I'm undercutting someone else. I think that to
Yeah.
me that's really important to keep,
Yeah.
you know, keep the respect amongst the community because it is so small.
Yeah. It's so funny because, and that's why I wanted to have you on, and I also want to have Joe on, Siestura.
Yeah.
Um, because to me we're all media, it's not because you're an
Yeah.
MC and I have a camera that we're different, and everything you say I recognize so much of myself and the things that I had to do as well, because it's exactly the same thing for video makers.
It's
You
the
have to
same
start.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to repeat what you just said because it's the exact same thing. But yeah, man, like sometimes even till this day I'm challenged with like pricing. Like, no, okay, I was more challenged like a year ago. Now I know my worth. I have my day rates, I
Yeah.
have my hourly rates, I have my rates for specific content, stuff like that. But again, like sometimes there's events I really want to work for. And I really like the team and the organizers.
Yeah.
For example, this year I'm going to be at German Throwdown again, where we saw each other.
Love
Uh,
them.
and these, I don't know how you felt about the organizers, but they're just so sweet. Alex and his wife, the whole team, like how the event
Yeah.
was run, like it was a really good experience. And I know you were on Brian's show just after, and he was asking like, "Is it really like that?" Because I know Marius, he puts all the vibes with the clapping and
Oh,
everything,
yeah.
and you were like, "No, no, it's really
They
like
go
that."
through
German
all
Throwdown is crazy. And for
It was
example, like
electric, yeah.
they can't afford to pay me as much as I normally ask, but because I love them
Mhm.
so much, and because I truly have a good time there, I'm like, okay, I'll do it for this or that. Same
Yeah.
with like some specific events, like I'm hoping to go to Rogue this year,
Oh,
and for
cool.
these events, like, will you be there or you don't know yet?
I don't know yet. So that's one
Yeah,
of those
too
ones
far.
that's on the dream list. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, at least I was gonna say it's closer, but no, because you're American, so it's not closer.
Yeah, and I'm in California now, so it's all the way across the country and then some.
Yeah, you've been the guest that I've had the most time difference with on the show. I haven't had anyone yet from Australia,
Oh
but
no.
yeah, no, but
They're
yeah, I
harder
think
than
it's
me.
really cool. What are some challenges that you're facing often as an MC in the industry, or like, do you face any, or like, are you truly at a phase now where you know what to do, where to go, who to talk to, like you're good, or do you feel like there's some stuff that could be improved, or something? It could be like not necessarily with your job, but also like mentally and stuff like that.
Mhm. I think there's a couple things. I think when it comes to the events, most of us are very confident with what we do and how we're going to deliver it. I think the issue that some events face is communication.
Mhm.
And how do you communicate? If you have a list of 5, how do you communicate who's doing what and when? And
Mhm.
finding people to take charge of that. And so that's kind of a newer thing that events are figuring out is, okay, who's in charge of the MCs? Because
Mhm.
we are our own little ecosystem. So who's responsible for collecting us? We're always going to do our job and we're always going to show up and be stoked that we're there, no matter how much
Yeah.
time or how little time we're given on the floor. But it's the who tells us what to do and who takes care of us. So that's one of
Mhm.
those things that everyone's learning. And I mean, there's always growing pains, but I think something that I've learned through doing all of these events is whatever is said on competition weekend is 99% stress. And
Mhm.
so once the event's over, like just ignore it. Even once the day's over. Once the day's over, if you and someone else had like a little spat on the floor because they were talking over you, or
Yeah.
they missed something, or they called something wrong, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so bad.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's over and you just move on and you're still friends. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things I think is actually really hard for people to do is to just let it go.
Mhm.
Just let it
Yeah.
go. It doesn't really matter anymore. Just let it go. And so
Yeah.
that's one of those things that everyone's always working on.
It's
I think
pick
in
your battles,
terms of,
basically.
yeah, pick your battles. And like, there's not even really battles. I think if something happens on the floor, then you acknowledge it and then you move on. You
Yeah.
absolutely just move on. And then it should never, unless someone truly disrespects you, it should never impact your friendships or impact your
Yeah.
relationships.
Yeah,
For
for
me as
sure.
an individual, oh yeah. I think for
Yeah.
me as an individual, I mean, my job, I'm very confident with what I do now. I think the one thing that I'm always striving to work on for myself would be just keeping confidence as I'm going out
Mhm.
there. I know I'm good at what I do, but when you have 1,000 people or a couple thousand people in the venue, and then you've got
Mhm.
50 cameras on you, and then you've got everyone with their cell phones, and you have all of these things, and it's not, I mean, we're not the focus, but there is in the back of your mind, you're thinking, wow, there are so many people that could look at me right now, or that
Yeah.
could see what I'm doing, or they are perceiving me in a certain way. It's really tough to not kind of immediately feel a little bit of an insecurity. So fighting
Yeah.
that and just being, all right, cool. I'm showing up. This is who I am. This is how I look today. I'm happy with it. There we go. That's it. That's that.
Yeah.
And keeping that confidence is a really, it's a battle that I face every single day, but I think I'm
Yeah.
winning right now. So we're good.
Have that's awesome. Have you ever had like moments where, without wanting to, you let the stress get to you and you choke while
Um,
like literally while emceeing? Just curious. I don't know the job or anything, so
I don't think so. I don't think there's that. And people ask me this all the time. They're like, have you ever really messed up? And I don't
yeah.
think so. Or at least as far as I'm aware, I don't think so. I've never miscalled a time clock, which I think is one of those ones that's the thing, is
Yeah.
you can't call time unless it's time. I don't
Yeah.
think, yeah, I've never done that. So I think as far as having a really big floor blunder, I'm good.
Yeah.
But again, I
But that's
mean,
awesome.
it happens at the end. Yeah, I guess at the end of the day, we're doing competitive fitness. And so it's
Yeah.
serious and we want to take it as seriously as we can. But I think everyone is pretty forgiving and
Yeah.
there's a lot of grace to
Yeah.
be had around us.
Yeah, and of course, and you're always gonna do mistakes no matter how good you are. Like,
Yeah.
like for example, me sometimes I think I'm recording, but I'm actually not recording. And then when I want to
Oh
stop
yeah.
the recording, I'm starting it.
Yes.
And then I film my
Or like
feet for
people's
20 minutes.
names.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, it's like people's names. If
yeah,
I don't get at your pronunciation because I either don't have it because it wasn't given to me, or I couldn't get a hold of you and I mispronounced your name, I'll only ever do it once.
yeah,
Just correct me. And
yeah,
that's one of those things that's really important to me is names. I think
yeah.
something that's actually really funny is a lot of French athletes, I'm not sure why, but their first name and last names will get flip-flopped on the forms. And so we'll be looking at everyone else's correct. And then we'll get to a French athlete. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
definitely not their name, but that's what they're registered as. So I guess we're going to do it. And it's
It's
just last
because
name, first name. Oh my goodness.
I don't know why we have a lot of last names that look like first names.
That's fair.
But it's funny whenever like I'm shooting an event and Joe is emceeing and he has trouble with like a name, like he'll be on the sideline like right in front of me and I'll be like, hey man, like so this is how you say it. Because I'm pretty good with accents. I live in the Netherlands, where I actually train where Linda Keisman lives.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
yeah, and so we're really happy in our gym that we qualified her. Well, we she qualified herself to the
We,
games, with training think tank and Maxon, of course. But we're really happy she came back from semifinals, and we had like a big welcome and everything. But it's funny because during the whole event, I don't know who was saying it, but everybody was calling her Quicheman, like a quiche.
poor girl.
So I told Linda like forever now you're Quicheman for
And
me.
then Cashman. And you're like, well, I
Yeah.
think it's tough. I think a lot of times there are some people that are very good at getting the pronunciations and they go above and beyond. Like I would say an example for us, like I've known Tola and them for a while and we
Yeah.
have great rapport. I see them everywhere. And me being me, I was like, I know how to say all of y'all's names, but I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you to send me an audio file anyway, because I
Yeah.
was at an event once and I say Tola Maracanio because that's exactly how it's supposed to be pronounced. And I get a text from someone at one of his sponsor companies, and she goes, "That's not how you say his name." And I responded
Yeah.
and I said, "Unfortunately, yes, it is." And I'm so sorry, but yes, it is. And she goes, no, if anything, just call him Tola. And I said, okay, that's fine. And so I call him Tola for the rest of the event. And to me, I'll never forget that because I never want to say, like, actually, you're wrong. But in this moment, I was completely correct. And I'm saying his name correctly. And for the longest time, he was just letting people go around saying it incorrectly because it's just easier, I guess. But now
Yeah.
so many of us know how to pronounce it. And so when we say it, and then someone's saying, oh, you're wrong. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
you pay him how much money and you don't know how to say his name?
Exactly.
That was
That's
wild, but
that's so
it's
funny.
we move through it. I mean, I think everyone has a pretty good
Yeah, for
attitude
sure.
about it. So,
So I think you and I, the first time I ever saw you was at Wadapalooza in 2023, so 2.5
okay.
years ago.
Yeah.
I think we were in the tier little like private area, and we had talked a little bit online or whatever. And I was like, "Hey, I'm the French guy," and you gave me, and the first thing you said is like, "I'm a hugger."
Oh yeah, I'm a big hugger.
So you're like, "Come here," because as a French guy, we never know how to interact with Americans or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Okay, cool," but I'm a big hugger as well. And it was really nice to meet you. Was that your first Wadapalooza or was it the
No,
second?
that
Or
was I think that was my second one.
yeah. So I was curious about the events. Like, do you have some favorites? And if yes, why?
Yes. Yes, I do. I have favorites, and I think I have favorites because different communities accept you in different ways. So I think
Hmm.
something that's been really exciting and surprising to me is how much the community in Australia and New Zealand has accepted me. And
Yeah.
so when I get to go out there, I feel like I'm going home, which is really kind of strange because I've never lived there. I don't have any claim to it. But when I go out there, I feel like I'm going home. And
Yeah.
I show up and there's people there that are excited that I'm there and I feel reunited. And so when
Yeah.
I get to go out to Torian, we were out down under, I'll go back to New Zealand Nationals this year. And all of those events, that to me is so special because I mean they're so far away from where I actually am from and then also I mean from the rest of the world, but I get to go to those and I just feel like I'm around my family, and that's
Yeah.
pretty freaking amazing
Yeah.
because that's just not, I mean you can go to local events here and yeah, I'm 10 minutes from home, but it doesn't feel the same at all. And I
Yeah.
think they do a really great job at building the community out there, but then in the
Yeah.
States I think, I mean anything that Dylan Militsky does is it's green light, it's stamped in my book. He is one of
Okay.
my, I would say, biggest like supporters
Who
and
is he, if you
biggest.
don't mind me saying?
Dylan Militsky, I don't know his specific title. I want to say he's like the VP of sport for Loud and Live. So
Okay,
he
gotcha.
runs Wadapalooza and everything like that. He
Did
was
not
one of
know
the
that.
yeah, he was one of the OGMCs. He is one of those people that when I get to work with him, I'm so grateful because he's so good at
Yeah.
what he does, but he's also so fun to be around. And
Yeah.
so I always love getting to hang out with him. But anything that I've seen that he says, this is what we're doing, this is my vision, whatever, it's already a go in my book. And
Yeah.
so when he shared with me, I don't even remember when he shared with me about what he had envisioned for Waza SoCal before it was
Hmm.
announced, any of this. When he shared it with me, I was like, that's cool. That's unique. That's something different. That is something that is so new. Cool.
Yeah.
Works for me. Do it. Run it. Sounds awesome. And now to see that starting to come to life and it's in September. It's only, I think it's an hour away from my home now. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
it's really
sick.
cool. Yeah, it's so close for me. And so there are people that I trust and I respect them as
Yeah.
individuals and then as professionals that where they're going, cool, I'm down to go. Let's do it.
Yeah, I have the same with some people, so I totally feel what you mean. Like now, like Brian, like Chat,
Oh yeah.
PC, like whenever I'm anywhere, semifinals, Dubai, whatever, and I see them, I'm like, okay, I'm safe. I'm with people
I'm
who
good.
like trust me and who, yeah, I love that feeling. And I think I kind of
Yeah.
understand what you mean with Australia and New Zealand because I didn't live in New Zealand, but I lived in Australia for 2 years.
Hmm.
So from 2017 to 19, I lived on the Gold Coast.
Cool.
At the time, I was just doing like fitness bodybuilding. I was not like in the CrossFit space or whatever, so I'm still a big rookie in the space. But just I think what helps make you feel at home. Oh, hello,
Yeah.
hello. Oh
He's
my
lazy.
god, I love that.
He'll
So
get in a
cute.
minute. Come
What's
on.
his name?
This is Gunner. Come on.
Okay.
Come here.
Hey,
Come here.
Gunner.
Look at him. He's always
OMG, I
really,
love
he's always
this.
so shy.
Oh, he's such a
Oh,
good boy.
thank you. Oh, thank you, honey.
Oh no. Oh my God, you just made my day. He's
He
hugging
always
on me.
jumps in at some point. He's like, I
I
just
love his little
want to be
bandana.
involved. He's so
I
cute.
was I was talking with Lauren, so I was on we did a show with Lauren last week, and her dogs also came in the background. And she told me a story that one of their first podcast appearance that she had, they started like having sex in the background,
Oh my gosh.
and she had to be like on
She's like,
like
don't
live.
look. Oh, that's so wild.
Oh my God, look at this good boy. Sorry, I'm losing track here, but the
No, you're
bandana
good.
and everything. I'm a big doggo person, so you know.
Me too.
I love this guest star. Okay, I got lost. Yeah, so I was saying, I think I understand what you mean with Australia because when I moved there, I instantly felt welcome. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I have to say with Americans, it's hard for me to read them in terms of like if their over niceness is genuine or if it's all like an appearance. And obviously, like there's no general truth. But with Australians, I don't know, you instantly feel that it's genuine. They're so welcoming and so nice and accommodating. And yeah, so I
Yeah, I
feel you,
think
man.
they do a great job. If they really like you, then you'll know. And if they
Yeah.
don't, you'll know. And it's kind of a respectful thing because it's you always know where people stand with you, and that's great.
I'm taking a picture. I'm sorry. He's so cute. Like this good boy. He's is he always like this?
Oh, always. He always finds
Oh
his
my
ways to move.
God. How old is he?
He's 7.
Oh, okay. He's a gentleman.
He's a gentleman. He's
Okay.
polite. Thank you, sir.
So something I talked about with Lauren, and I don't know why, even though you guys do different jobs, I assimilate some of the lifestyles that you have because I also constantly see you in airplanes. I think once you did like a Q&A on your story, um, and you were like, someone asked like, what is like a mistake, like something, a mistake that you did in the past and like whatever, a lesson you learned, and you're like, you told, get early to the airport. It's not worth the stress.
Yes, absolutely.
And I was like, yes.
Yes.
Because I'm always
Yes.
surrounded with people who like, no, we can make it. Like, we'll be there an hour before or whatever. And it just puts you into a situation of so much stress. But anyway, so you're like constantly traveling, obviously, for your job. And something I asked Lauren and I want to know about you as well is how's balancing personal life with constantly being on the road worldwide? Like, how do you manage that? And does it something get to you? Do you have like do you have like mindfulness thing that help you like get through the tough moments, or like if you just want to share about that?
Yeah, I think so. I would say, in the last 2 years, I've done it really differently. So when I was living in Austin last year, I think I traveled 28 weeks out of the year or something ridiculous. And so work-life balance didn't really exist. It
Hmm.
was work 100% of the time. And when I came home, I kind of not removed myself from my communities, but I wasn't really around. And so when I'm home for 2 days, what am I going to do? I'm going to
Yeah.
train and then I'm going to try to go see people. But if I'm home for a Monday and a Tuesday or a Tuesday and a Wednesday, people are working, they have real jobs. And it's really tough to kind of accommodate that. And so when I moved here to California, something that I told myself that I really want to take more seriously was my personal life.
Hmm.
And I would say the balance that I've been able to find now is it's incredible. It's unreal. So when I travel, the first thing I do when I come back, I start my laundry. If it's early enough in the day, I go to the gym immediately. I get on with my day. If I can, I'll go watch sunset with my friends. And I spend so much quality time with people that
Hmm.
matter to me. Whereas
Yeah.
before I was just spending more time alone because I was just kind of tired and it was just is what it was. And
Yeah.
so here I spend so much time investing and pouring into other people, especially my friendships. So when I do come home, I just kind of integrate back in. And I
Yeah.
think having such a solid routine, like my weeks are so fun. I think what I get to do in a week is so exciting and so much fun that when I get to come back, I just hit the ground running. And I think at
Okay.
this point, the team that I have behind me they're part of the reason. Like I would say, my coach makes sure that I always have fitness to do. So when I'm traveling and then when I get back, there's always something that's going to keep me on track and I can keep myself accountable and consistent I would
Yeah.
say
You're with
Brad,
Mayhem, right?
yes, I work with
Yeah.
Dom. And so Brad, who does my nutrition, we started working together a little bit ago. But when I travel now, we've had some conversations and he's given me some tips and tricks. This is what I want you to try to do. Pick a
Yeah.
couple things that you're going to, these are your non-negotiables, just like I would do with fitness. It's like you're going to get some movement in. Take it seriously, take your life seriously. And so now, and I would say my friends do a great job now of like checking in on me, but
Okay, that's
I
good.
think you have to have a team behind you. I think something I did a mistake in the past was thinking I could do it alone
Yeah.
and being okay with being alone all the time. And I
Hmm.
love being alone, but now that I have a team and I have people that I can really rely on and count on,
Yeah.
my life is just so much better. And I
Yeah.
don't
Do you
feel
have
that
a
same loneliness.
do you have an agent?
Mm-mm. I
No?
used
Okay.
to. No,
Okay.
it's funny. I used to, and we he worked with NFL athletes and all these kind of bigger sports. So he didn't totally understand what CrossFit was or what I really wanted to do, and I was new. So I was kind of a shiny new toy and not really sure how to play with it. There was no instructions on what to do.
Yeah.
Barbie doesn't come with instructions. You kind of create your own little world for her. And
Yeah.
so we didn't really see eye to eye on some of the things he was bringing to the table. And then
Hmm.
I'm someone who, if I want to try something new, at this point, I hadn't really done much like television or anything big. So my appearance to me was still kind of fun. I could do whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
And so I dyed my hair red because I thought it was really fun and I loved it. Oh my gosh, what a moment. But I dyed it
I want
red.
to see that.
I'll find a picture and I'll send it to you.
Okay, okay.
I dyed it red. I thought it was so cool. And it was like early Copper Cowboy where everyone was going red. And it was a couple years ago. And I said, this is the coolest thing I've ever done. It looks so good. And it's funny enough, like my Instagram engagement kind of tanked. Like I wasn't changing anything that I was posting. It was all the same. I just looked different.
Yeah.
And we had a conversation about it. And whether he was serious or not, he was like, yeah, like, I think you should probably go back to being blonde. Instagram kind of prefers
Yeah.
blondes. And I think it's hilarious because, I mean, yeah, there's probably
Yeah.
something to it. Who knows? But
It's crazy.
after that, I realized, okay, I probably am better off on my own. And
Yeah.
the relationships that I've established with, I would say, the agents in the space, if I ever needed anything, I could go to them and ask them for help.
Yeah.
But with
Yeah.
my like graduate degree and my master's program, I'm fairly confident when I get a contract of what is appropriate, what is
Yeah.
acceptable,
Yeah.
and all of those things I know what to look for. So
Because something that's a bit different about you, and I hate using that word because I don't want it to sound
that's
offensive, but
okay. Difference
you're
okay.
you're on top of like your main thing being an
Hmm.
MC, and you're kind of also like an athlete slash influencer thingy on Instagram. You know, like you're the
Yeah.
only MC. Like I know Lauren has some partnerships with some brands and stuff like that, but I think you're the only one I know that is sponsored by
Hmm.
so many cool brands like LSKD and Blenders, I think, or
Yeah.
and so how did that start and how did you, because I'm sure you didn't start it
Yeah.
by wanting to be like famous or an influencer or whatever.
No, if I could go completely off the grid, I would. If Instagram disappeared forever and ever, I wouldn't be that mad about it,
Yeah.
which is funny. But I think when it came to, at this point, I'll be transparent. I pretty much live off of my sponsorships.
Hmm.
So events for me, yes, that's my job, but that's not most of where my income comes from. So it's cool to say that that's my reality.
Cool.
I would say for all of the sponsorships and things, it came very organically. So I met brands at events, or I'd meet people that worked for brands. And
Hmm.
all of the companies that I work with are very much in alignment with what I do and what I believe. And so we just kind of started having conversations, and eventually conversations turned into, hey, we would like you to join our team. This is what it would look like to join our team. What would it cost for you to join our team? Or, I'll work with brands on short-term deals and things like that. And so it all just
Yeah.
comes down to very much relationships and has to be organic. And I think anybody that sees my page is like, oh wow, she works with a lot of really cool brands. And it's not necessarily just, oh, I wear this, so I'm gonna talk about it. It's
Yeah.
I'm very much invested in the companies that work with me and that I get to work with. With LSKD, we do events all the time. I I'm always at the office. I'm always doing what I can to be part of their community because that's a core value is being in the community. So, and I take
Mhm.
that seriously. And so I am actively part of their community. For all these other brands, I want to make sure that everything's always in alignment and that I can be the best representation of their values. So
Yeah.
it's everything that I actually truly do believe in, which I think is
Yeah.
really unique. I think a lot of times you see people with a bunch of names and tags in their like bios and things. And
Yeah.
like, oh dang, like that's cool that they work with them, but they don't really align with
Yeah.
what the brand stands for. Or, oh dang, like that's not really, I don't want to
Yeah.
associate because this is how this person comes off and this is how they've made me feel, but they work with this brand. So then it kind of gives you a
Yeah.
bad taste of the brand. And so I think something for me, like with every relationship that I've established with the brand, I want to make sure it's very much real and very
Yeah.
much a two-way street where they
Yeah.
believe in me just as I believe in them.
Yeah, and it shows, man. Like I was talking with Peter from Coffee Pods and Awards. Our episode is coming out on Monday, and we were
Have
talking
fun.
about like athletes changing brands and like stuff like that.
Yes.
Like, and it's always hard to find what's genuine or not. You know, like Tia going from Noble to Go Rock, or
To go
just it's
rug.
just one of many examples. You know, but I
Right.
think when I look at your sponsorship, it doesn't feel out of place. Like
Yeah.
the glasses, the clothing, like everything you promote, it's like it
Yeah.
matches with your image and like who you are. It's I've never felt like why the fuck is she promoting that? You know what I mean? Like
That's good. No, that's good. I hope that. Like, I think
yeah,
something that's always fun is locally. I work with Noco, and they were one of my early sponsors. I think I'm one of their longest athlete partners, which is really cool,
yeah,
at least in the States. And with them, I always have Noco in my bag. So if I go to a gym
yeah,
and I see someone, they're like, "Oh, that's cool. What's Noco?" I will give them one. I always have them on hand. Or I had a buddy text me the other day, "Hey, I'm dying at the office. I need caffeine." Then that afternoon, I brought him a case and I brought him
yeah,
Barabels. And then all throughout the week, he said, "Oh, you saved me. This is great." And yeah, it's cool to say like, "Oh, I'm giving sponsored gear away and sponsored product away," but it's truly what I'm using in my life. And if I
yeah.
can help someone else fill a hole or a need in their life through a brand that's really good and generous to me, that's like the easiest
Yeah.
win-win ever.
And I don't know if it's on purpose, but the brands you work with, it's all colorful stuff. So like
Yeah.
when I see you, I see the blonde, I see the blue eyes and everything, and it's obviously very surface level, of course. You're
Yeah.
much more than your looks, but I just mean like it matches your energy, your vibe. Like Noco, they have all these colorful cans, and like LSKD, they have all these colorfuls like tops and bottoms. And are you with
Yeah.
blenders as well?
Yeah, I'm one of their athletes
Yeah,
out here, which is
same,
really
like
fun.
very
Yeah.
colorful. Like, I don't know, like I would see you like doing some collabs with Buttery Bros or I don't know, like
Mhm.
I think of you like that, but it's maybe I'm wrong, but at least that's what
No,
you
I
give
think
off like.
the brands that I work with have very big personalities and
Mhm.
they're very identifiable. Like you have Vitamin Well, like you're drinking Vitamin Well right now, and like they own NoCo. And so every brand has their own personality. And I think through establishing relationships, I've kind of been brought into a community of people and brands that also have big personalities.
Yeah.
And so that's really fun because that's very organic and that's what we want to be doing is
Yeah.
aligning ourselves with people who are similar to us and share our beliefs but that are different so that we can all kind of work together and create something beautiful because if you're only ever around people that are exactly the same way as you, that gets, I mean, heck, that's pretty boring.
Yeah. I love that. So I'm curious about now. I want to talk about the games.
Mhm.
Are
Yeah,
you in a position to talk about it?
I can share some things. I can share
Okay.
what I'm doing. Yeah,
So
I can
just
share what I'm doing.
whatever, like first,
Yeah.
like what led to it, maybe if you can share some
Yeah.
of that, and like maybe some of the things that you will be doing or something.
Yeah. So I would say what led to it is Heather Lawrence has really, she's believes in me. And we
Mhm.
met last year at Pit Team Throwdown. I mean, she's like my queen.
For people who
She's
don't
one of the
know,
coolest women I've ever met ever. Heather Lawrence, I want to say she's the director of the games or director of sport.
gotcha.
I'm not the best with titles because in my mind, people have these titles like queen and legend and all these things. But Heather is one of the coolest, most impactful and respectful women I've ever met in the sport and
Mhm.
honestly in life too. And so we got to know each other last year at Pit Team, and she's one of those people I was like, wow, you have so much power and influence in this sport, yet you're here in Michigan with us investing in the community. I really respect that. And not only that, but you have a great attitude about it. And so seeing that, getting to know her, and Boz was there too, and getting to meet them. She was one of the big reasons, her and Emily were two of the big reasons why I was tapped to do the open announcement. And
Okay.
then comes along getting to do East this year for semifinals as well as doing Australia. And then I mean, truly, she believes in me, and she's one of those people that I look up to so much, and I will always try to do my best to, rise to the occasion for those that believe in me, especially with someone like her, like to say that she believes in my abilities as, an entertainer, that feels very good on the heart.
Yeah. Cool. And so can you tell a little bit what you'll be doing
Yes.
or some things?
Yes. So I have a kind of a new role this year.
Hmm.
It's a combination of essentially everything that I've ever done.
Hmm.
So you will see me, I'm the in-game host. So if you've ever been to a arena sport, they have someone that kind of runs the show on the mic, and they're on the screen, and they can talk to the people in the broadcast booth, and they can talk to people on the floor. And so that is my job this year,
Okay.
is an in-game host for the games. And I think when they pitched me this idea, it's actually hilarious. So they pitched me the idea, and I was in the car, and I'm seeing this email, and every time these opportunities have come up, I get like overwhelmed with emotion, which is
Hmm.
funny. Like it still means so much to me. So I'm getting this email and I'm overwhelmed with emotion. I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to pull over. I need to consume this email. I don't even know what to do. And I'm reading it, and I think I responded in like 30 seconds. I said, yes, we're doing it. Yeah.
Of
I
course.
don't even need to think about it. Yes, absolutely yes. It was just an immediate yes. And so whatever, I think I'm one of those people that I believe in the sport, and I still believe in the people that are in charge of the sport very much. Like
Hmm.
the vision that they have, I believe in. I'm still very optimistic about the future of the sport, and very
Hmm.
optimistic that we're growing and that there's going to be a change, and it's going to be a good change.
Yeah.
And so for them to say, hey, we want to do this. This is the first year in Fort Worth. I love Texas. I just moved from Texas, and this new role, this and this, it was a no-brainer for me because how cool is this opportunity? But also it was a no-brainer because, oh my gosh, cool. This is the new chapter of CrossFit. Let's go
Yeah.
do this. Let's make it really cool, and let's make it really big, and let's be really excited about it. And that's
Yeah.
how I am with the whole sport. I think I mean, this kind of a tangent, but I think there's a lot of negativity with our sport. And I think there's a lot of
Yeah.
negativity of just the ecosystem itself. And I understand that. But if we always focus on the negative and we don't think about all the really cool things that are still happening and the opportunities that could happen, we're going to miss out, and then we'll prevent ourselves from growing. So staying positive and saying, okay, cool. These are the people in charge. I ride or die. Whatever we're doing, let's go.
Yeah.
It's That's how we grow, is you got to have people that believe in what we're doing, and I
Yeah.
absolutely believe in the direction.
I love that, dude. I cannot wait to see you on the floor out there. To be honest, like not to be a kiss ass, but whenever I thought about you, like and your career and where you were heading, because I'm just a third person watching from the outside
Yeah.
looking in, all the events you're doing, all that stuff. I always thought to myself, Bella, it's only a matter of time before she goes and works at the games. So I'm not surprised at
That's the big
all.
door. That was
Yeah.
the big door that we had to knock down. And I mean, you know, I want to say that everything happens for a reason, and everyone has their own journey. And, if this had been offered to me last year, I would have done it, and it would have been,
Yeah.
really amazing. But I have learned so much over the years of watching the sport and doing different things while I've attended the games. And last year I was helping them with broadcasts and getting information and doing all of these. I think I've learned so much that at this point, I feel so much more respect from
Mhm.
everybody that getting to be out there, it's okay, cool. Like I've, no, I don't want to say that I deserve it, but I really put in the work to
Yeah.
earn the respect from everybody in our little space.
I think someone you'll be able to chat to and who might like help you as well for something. I don't know. It's something someone I'm gonna have on as well as Lauren Smith. She'll be
Oh,
interviewing
I love
teams
her.
again,
Yes, I love
and
her.
she's so lovely. She's such a great person, and I want to have her on as well.
She's a hoot and a half. She's so
Yeah.
funny. We were together last
Um,
year because she was doing all the team stuff, and
yeah.
I was like their assistant last year. And I mean, I
Yeah.
think there was not a morning that she would come down for coffee that we would just be just cracking jokes. She's just a
Yeah.
good time.
Yeah. She's amazing. So I'm
Yeah, she
curious
is.
about like some out of comfort zone gigs and
Hmm.
stuff
Yeah,
that you'd like to get your hands at in the future. Could be TV, could be like some shows, can be different types of emceeing, different sports. Because I know, for
yeah.
example, Joe Siastula, he does a lot of like commenting as well, like for water sports. Like, are there some things you want to get your hand on?
Yes, I will say by the Olympics of LA 2028, we should have some more things to be doing.
Okay.
I definitely see, I love and absolutely have such a passion for commentary and sideline
Yeah.
and things like that. And so getting opportunities to interview with major networks and have them listen to me and give me the time of day and tell me, hey, these are next steps. This is what it's going to look like. That's kind of where we are now. I
Yeah.
think, I mean, it's the dream's always to just do more and be bigger and be
Yeah.
better. I don't think there's necessarily one sport that I would say, this is what I want to do. I grew up a
Yeah.
swimmer, and so I think there's one commentary guy, Rowdy, that has been the voice of swimming forever. And so I think
Mhm.
if there's a bucket list of anything, it would be working with him in some capacity. But
Yeah.
I think just adding value in any sort of sport is that
Yeah.
I'd be happy with that. It could be anything. It
Sick.
could be pickleball. It could be anything.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. So I always ask this question as well. Like whenever you
Yeah.
go through challenging times in your career and stuff like that, what's like your because the show is called the Hard Drive Studio. So obviously for the hard drives that we use in media, but also for the drive mentality. What is like your drive? Something that pushes you to work hard for what you want and helps you go through the tough moments.
Uh, I would say there is something that I used to lean on, and then there's something that I've been leaning on lately. I would
Hmm.
say I've always just strived to do the best that I can and to maintain respect and myself through all of it and through everything I've done. I think if, we kind of chatted earlier, I think if I started doing things or acting in a way that was out of character, I'd be pretty disappointed in myself.
Yeah.
So keeping what I believe in and holding my values close and always holding on to those while doing what I'm doing, no matter how messy or how busy life gets, is that's what's important because at the end of the day, yeah, you could do events for your entire life, but if you lose who you are and you lose what's important to you, then what do you really have? And I would say to kind of like talk about the kind of hard drive of it, the other day, this is my mantra as of late. So I think it was last week. I was at my gym and Dom and I mean, we've been grinding. I don't know if you ever see it. We've been working.
I see
And
you.
I had to do this ridiculous back squat set where I had to end up at 235 and I had to do it as many times as I can. And so the week prior, I had to end up at 200, had to do that as many times as I can. And so I'm like, okay, well, I did 200 for 20 reps. What can I do with 235? Who knows? And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I know I can do it for 8 because I already did it for 8 today. Well, let's see what we can do. I think it'll probably start to get tiring at 8. We'll find out.
Yeah.
And so before I went through this, one of the guys that was at my gym, we were kind of just having a yawn and yapping about. And he was like, something that I always think of when I'm doing this is it doesn't start until it gets hard. And
Yeah.
so I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Like, yeah, you're right. And I think there's an actual quote from someone in there. I think I want to say Muhammad Ali or some Mike Tyson, maybe he was a fighter. And so I am squatting and I get to 10 and my legs start to get kind of tired. And in my head, I like, he's off doing his own thing. We're all doing our own thing because we all work on our own. And in
Mhm.
my head, I'm like, well, he said it doesn't start until it gets hard. So now it's hard. I'm 10 reps in at 235. Now it's hard. So what can we do from here? And the goal is to get to a point where you could still go 2 extra reps and not fail, but to get to a point where you're pretty challenging. So I did another 5 and then I rack it and I finish and I have no energy left on the floor. Oh my goodness, that was really hard, feeling bad for myself. And he was like, "Oh, that was great. Good job." And I told him, I was like, "Well, you said it didn't start until it got hard. And it didn't get hard until 10." And so that's what I was holding on to. And then
Yeah.
that same week, I do this deep end fitness training thing. And it's been, I mean, heck, it's been so cool to do it. But in that same week, we were talking, oh, well, what do you say to yourself when things get hard? And that's what I shared with the class. I was like, well, this is what I share. And this
Yeah.
morning before our call, I went to training and we had to do this thing. It was a benchmark test, kind of like we do in CrossFit, where you surface swim across the water. You get to the other side, you get one breath, and then you got to go as far as you can go underwater. That's
Okay.
all you got to do. And so I mean, who knows? Where are you going to go? Let's see. I know I can do 50 underwater without doing a surface swim at the beginning. So
Mhm.
we'll see what we can do when you have to swim 25 yards first. And so I do the 25-yard swim. I'm like, okay, cool. I go underwater. I do the first 25. I was like, okay, well, that felt kind of challenging. We're still underwater. We might as well get the best push off the wall as we can, at least try to make it halfway. I get to halfway. I'm looking at the other side. I can see above me, I think he's a Marine or a SEAL. He's like surface swimming, making sure I don't drown. And I make it to the other side. I pop up and I felt like I was gonna, like, honestly, I felt like I was gonna be sick. I was just,
Oh.
there's no oxygen left in my body. Awful feeling, but I did it. And I was really proud of myself. And he was joking around. He's like, "How are you feeling? You okay? I heard you underwater." Because when you get to a point when you're holding your breath for so long, you kind of like not necessarily choke, but you're making weird noises underwater and you don't even realize it. And I told him, I was like, "Oh yeah, I thought I was gonna be sick on the end there." And so after, and I was proud. And so after we're all doing our debrief and our coach Paul was like asking everybody kind of our highlight of the day. And I told him that was my highlight of I did that. I hadn't done that before with the surface swim. So I was really proud of myself. And he goes, "Yeah, you remember last week you said that the work doesn't start until it gets hard." And that's something that we've all been thinking about too. And so at this point, funny enough, like that is what I think about all the time is yeah, it's gonna be hard in situations, but when it gets hard, that's when you actually find out what you're made of and what you actually are capable of. And so
Yeah.
I think that's moving into the next half of the year, that's what we're going to be focused on is okay, yeah,
Yeah.
cool. You might be uncomfortable, but this is where you're actually going to grow. This is where you're going to thrive. Oh, this might not be fun, but guess what? That's where you're going to start.
Yeah.
It's not always going to be fun. It's not always going to be easy because that's just not where we grow.
Okay, that's fucking awesome. I love that answer. It's perfect. I think I'm gonna say it to myself
A
as
lot of
well. Whenever
direction.
it gets hard, yeah, me it's more
Yeah.
like my mantra is like the whole lemonade that I've made around my branding, like around like
Yeah.
you know, as media, we can complain about like access or getting a gig or not, or like, I just learned that at the games we'll have assigned seats, and so in media
Oh,
we'll
wow.
all be seating, and like we'll have a be friendly seat and a whatever seat or whatever, and so we'll all, I don't know exactly if it's gonna be exactly like that, but for most of the arena events we're going to be sitting there, and the first thought was like, fuck, we're all going to get the same angles and the same shots.
Right.
And I was talking with Erin Murphy. Do you know her? She shoots for Sprague and Ariel at the moment.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
great. Her work is so
She's
cool. Like, I
great.
just reposted, she posted a picture of Sprague on the track. So cool. Anyway,
She's
I
great.
and we're talking about, like, she was asking me like, what do you do when like you find a cool spot and like someone comes in and like gets the same angle, and I'm like, it's in those moments that I get the most creative, and that I'm
Yeah.
challenged, and that's when, like, I embrace the challenge. I try to make lemonade with what I'm given, and it's never going to be perfect. Your position is
Yeah.
never going to be perfect, and whatever it is in life as well. So you just like see glass half full, and it's kind of the same of what you just described a little bit. But yeah, love that. So we're close to an hour. I don't want to take too much of your
Yeah.
time. There's just like three questions.
Oh, sure.
They're not too deep. Last time I saw on the Be Friendly Instagram that PC, he interviewed Haley Adams after an event, and he talked to her and he was asking her about like Star Wars shows or whatever, and you could see like she's a
Hmm.
true geek.
Oh,
And in
she
that
lit
moment,
up.
yeah, you saw her lit up like, oh wow, like they're asking me shit that has nothing to do with CrossFit.
Yeah.
So my questions are, there's three of them. If you don't have an answer, that's fine. What's at the moment a song you're playing on repeat these days?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I saw Stick Figure last week, and let
Don't
me
know
see. I
him.
can pull. Stick Figure is a.
I'm terrible with names.
No, that's okay. Hang on. Let me make sure I disconnect from my AirPods. Okay. I'll throw it in the chat for you.
Oh, cool. I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. So they're a local band to San Diego, and
Yeah.
they're a little bit more beachy, kind of.
Oh, can't hear you anymore, but yeah, I'm sure when you'll stop the music and reconnect your earpods, I'll hear you, but I can't hear you at the moment.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so I sent you in the chat.
Yeah.
This is the vibe for now.
Okay,
And
cool.
I would say it just makes me happy. So
Okay,
I would say
cool.
beachy music makes me happy right now.
I'll have a listen to it later tonight and think about you. If you watch any TV, what's like a show or movie you've seen recently?
I Okay, I'm gonna get roasted for this. I am the biggest Bachelor Nation girly pop. I have watched The Bachelor and Bachelorette and Bachelor in Paradise and all of these shows for my entire life.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's the thing. The season just started on the 8th, so we're 10 days in, we're two
Yeah.
episodes in. Just can't wait to see who Jen falls in love with. We're loving that.
Oh my god. I've never watched
Yeah.
that, but I know like our jobs can be
Oh,
quite challenging mentally, and I think sometimes when you
oh yeah.
go home, you want to, what we say with one of my best friends is put the brain down.
Hmm. Yeah.
You just like you take out the brain and you just
Oh yeah,
enjoy.
you go full brain dump, watch The
Yeah.
Bachelor, watch Love Island. Like I'm all for it. I love it.
Love that. Maybe we'll see you like hosting Love Island like one day.
Oh my, I don't think I'm like sparkly enough. The women that they have hosting that show are just the most gorgeous, sparkliest, prettiest people you've ever met ever. So I like watching them.
Okay,
They're
fair enough.
great.
Okay, cool. And last question, if you could have a superpower, what would it be? It's a tough one, huh?
I would
I
say
guess something that would
teleportation.
help. Yeah.
Teleportation. Because, hear me out, I could do so much with life if I could teleport. Because events, instead of needing to book me in for an extra day, I'll just we'll snap of the fingers. We go
Yeah.
across the world and we're there. And then when we're ready, we just go popping back.
Yeah.
And then you never miss a moment
Yeah.
because you get to be everywhere. And I think
Yeah.
that's one of those things. I mean, it's a big fear of mine is missing things in
Yeah.
people's lives. So that's, yeah, teleportation.
It's so funny you're saying that. Lauren said the exact same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we were talking.
I think it's a women's thing. I think women are very emotional and like especially for us, we travel so much and it's really hard to
Yeah,
be
it's more about
present with
traveling.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's tough because you don't want to miss anything. And
Yeah.
I mean, inevitably we will, but if we didn't have to, it would be nice.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a women's thing. Like, I would also, I think, choose teleportation as one of my powers just because, like, yeah, the traveling is insane. Like, I don't get to see my family as often as I wish I would. Like, I see them maybe three
Yeah.
times a year. They're not even that far, but I'm just sometimes so busy that, it would be great to have that power. Well, Bella, thank you so much for
Of
coming
course.
on. I'm gonna release you. I hope you have like an awesome day. And
Thank you.
so the next week we'll have Peter from Copy Files and Wads, and the week after on the Monday, I'll
Okay.
send you the date. I'll post it. So I'll send you like the link for Spotify and YouTube. And sometimes what I did with Lauren and the others, I do like little Instagram highlights, and I ask as a
Okay.
collab. I don't know if you're keen for that.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
And of course, like we didn't say anything controversial, but I'll like pre-approve it by you before posting.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure, that
yeah,
works.
cool. Thanks for coming on, and dude, I can't wait to see you in Texas. It's gonna be fun.
Of course. You'll see me with my
What?
boots.
No way you're gonna wear them.
Of course. I have like 5 pairs of cowboy boots. You think I'm not bringing them with me?
Everybody's gonna be in cowboy boots. I love that.
I'm bringing them with me. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I love that. When are you flying or driving?
I get in on Tuesday.
Oh, okay, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll meet up at some point with Brian and the
Yeah.
team. Yeah, cool.